Ooh, a spicy question. I
because
love
the
it.
writing is sort of everything, right? Like you kind of can fix plot holes, but if the writing isn't
So some
there,
readers love that, and some readers are like, but I wanted more of this. So it's kind of a gamble.
Hello and welcome back to the Right and Wrong podcast. On today's episode, I am with a romance author who writes both contemporary and romantic comedies. It's Ellie K. Wilde. Hello.
Good morning and hello to everyone listening.
Yes, morning for you in Canada, afternoon here in the UK. Thanks so much for coming on. Let's jump right in with your latest publication. Coming out on February 17th, the third book in the Oakwood Bay series. Tell us a little bit about If Only You Knew, and a bit about the series as well.
Yeah, so it's, as you said, the third book in the Oakwood Bay series. And what I love about this series and a lot of other romance series is that it's an interconnected standalone, meaning that you can pick it up and feel like you haven't missed a thing, even if you haven't read the first two books. However, the two characters in this book, Summer and Parker, are part of the friend group that's appeared throughout the entire series. This is a childhood best friends to lovers romance between two characters who've known each other since they were three, have sort of navigated life together, the ups and downs, and arrive at a point in their lives where they're not quite sure, whether they're excelling, at their full potential within adulthood. And part of that is in their relationships. And so they sort of task each other with acting as each other's matchmaker, seeing as they know each other the best. And it destroys their friendship. And the book sort of follows them as they try to rebuild that relationship. And we get to watch as it turns into something much, much better than friendship.
Okay, great. So it's not fake dating because they're sort of helping each other matchmake, but this is like friends to lovers, would it be?
Friends to lovers, yeah, definitely not fake dating. I've written the last book of the series was a fake dating, but
okay.
Yes, there's a lot of push and pull in this one where, it's answering that question. Like you've known this person since you were a child. At what point does that love, that familial love, or I mean, I wouldn't call it that because they turn to lovers, but at what point does that love transform into romantic love? And it's a really fun thing to explore.
Yeah, and I guess the catalyst that causes that love or like that appreciation to change, or at least their view of it to change.
Exactly, yeah.
So you mentioned that these stories can be read in any order, so people can jump in at the third one and then go back and read the first or second one. Would it be like, do you get more if you've read the first two, or are they fully sort of like autonomous?
They're rather autonomous. I would say that, of course, you get a little, you get a sprinkling of them throughout. You get to see their dynamic as part of that friendship. So definitely worth picking up if you just love to see sort of that progression over the years, but it's a fully contained story.
Yeah. I'm the same. I absolutely love it when there are sort of multiple narratives weaving around the same setting. When it comes to like choosing how you kind of pull stories out after you've written one book, do you plan it ahead, or is it like you're writing the first novel in the series and then there's just like a couple of secondary characters that are just like calling for you to write their own story?
So I really wish I could say I was organized enough to plan things ahead. And I'm really trying to be with future projects. But no, this one was very much I was writing the first in the series, Only in Your Dreams. There was this, such a magnetic friend group that you just get so caught up in their own backstories, and it begged to be explored. So it just kind of turned into a series unexpectedly.
Okay, yeah. And am I right in thinking this is the fifth book you've published?
This is the fifth book I've published, and I started out as an independent author. So it's been quite the adventure.
Is writing something that you just always knew that you wanted to do from a young age?
It was kind of my only thing. Like, I'm not the most well-rounded person. Like, writing is my thing. And it's always been my thing since I was, in school. It's a thing that I excelled in. I never thought that I could really plausibly turn it into a viable career. I think it's something that you always hear, oh, it's too hard, or it's like a 1 in a million chance kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I published my first book independently, I hadn't gone through the whole process of, querying and trying to dip into traditional publishing, because again, I thought, well, I'm not that 1 in a million. So it was just really for fun and something that I was doing for myself. But the result, I guess, was quite unexpected.
Yeah. And sounds like you said, you've been writing always, so pretty much. Has your approach to writing and your story process changed, over the course of these 5 books that you've published since the first novel, or even since before then?
Definitely. I think, as I said, I am trying to become more of a planner. The first few books, because I was writing for myself and because I was writing for fun, I just let the story unfold as I was writing it without,
Yeah.
I guess I would have a sense of where it would end, but the road to get there, I think, was still unknown to me as I was writing. Now I do try to plan things out. I'm trying to become a plotter, less of a pantser.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that I'm like the best at following my own plans, but I do try my best.
Yeah. The authors that I've spoken to who are sort of pantsers, and I think will probably stay as pantsers, that they often say the problem is, like, they've tried planning, and the problem is that they lose the sort of energy when they're writing it. They're not as excited if they know what's going to happen. Is that something that you find?
Yes and no. I think I always make sure that I'm invested in points in the plot. Like, at a certain point, they do act like beacons in the future. Like, let me get through this foundational chapter, because I know that the next chapter is something exciting that I get to write. So I do love having those markers down the road to get me through the parts that are a little less exciting to write.
Yeah.
But I definitely do take detours along the road. Like, if I think of something way more exciting than what I'd already planned out, I do change the plan.
Okay. So it sounds like you're sort of you'll have a plan, but you're happy to change it if something better comes along.
Yeah, and I think the beauty of contemporary romance is that I think it maybe allows for a little bit of flexibility there. Like, if I was writing, a fantasy, which is much more structured and much more complex, maybe plot-wise and layered, then maybe I'd hesitate a little bit more. But I think contemporary romance and romantic comedies in general, you get to have a little fun with it.
Yeah. There may be more flexibility. That being said, I'm always surprised when I've had a number of psychological thriller writers on, and like there's definitely a structure to that genre, and there's often like a big twist. And the amount of times that I'll ask them, are they a planner or a pantser? And they'll just say, oh, pantser. I don't know what's going to happen at the end. And I'm like, how?
Oh, well,
how
that
are you writing in this genre?
Okay, so there's hope for me yet. Like, I could maybe
Exactly.
maybe write one.
I guess it depends how much you're willing to edit after your first few drafts.
Fair enough. Yeah, for sure.
So when it comes to like the inception of a story for you, do you start with the characters, or is it more of a setting or a situation?
Characters, I would say. And then it just sort of builds from there. And of course, I know that there's this sort of turning up of the nose when it comes to writing tropes, but tropes are just part of storytelling in general, whether it be books and non-romance books and movies and all that. And so I do think that characters first, then what are like the major anchoring tropes.
Okay.
Because you got to know the relationship to each other, and automatically that's a trope right there. So so I think I go from that to there, and then um, I think the setting just probably the setting next. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So you are sort of planning the main tropes quite early on in the process.
Yeah, I mean they're the basis of the book, right? If I'm
Yeah.
writing this book, if only you knew, I mean the major trope is friends to lovers, and that's you can't get around that. So of course I have to plan around that specific trope, and the matchmaking trope is a trope in itself. And um, so I know we like to think of tropes as something that you shove into a book or something that maybe um, doesn't make a book as prestigious, perhaps, but um, I mean, it's the foundation of storytelling, so you can't really get around that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's you can't really write a romance novel without tropes, because
Mm.
I mean, just as a simple look at it, it's like, romance. If you're going to do a happily ever after, it's always going to be like friends to lovers, enemies to lovers, rivals to lovers. It's going to be something to lovers, and those are all in quotes tropes. So it's
Exactly.
just part of the storytelling, isn't it?
Exactly.
And I've talked about this on a different podcast at length about how we all sort of, we should try and celebrate tropes, and like it's fun, and like there is a part of me that does worry about sometimes the way that tropes are used in advertising, where it's like, instead of getting a blurb now, a lot of the time you'll just get a list of the
Mm-hmm.
tropes that are within the book.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about
Mm-hmm.
that?
I think it all comes down to the change in landscape when it comes to audiences. I think that there's a shorter attention span when it comes to marketing, and you see that with the rise of TikToks, short form videos, and this is just another part of it. It's just a quick way to get your book across without the reader having to invest too much time in getting to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just another way to market.
Yeah. And I guess it's, some people are like really against certain tropes, not as a concept tropes, but like a specific trope. Like some people really don't like miscommunication, or like a surprise pregnancy or something like that. So if you
Mm-hmm.
list it as like not having that, then people feel, if I guess you feel safer going into it being like, I'm not going to have a rude surprise where the thing I really don't like in stories is going to come up at the end.
Yeah, or the very opposite. I mean, surprise pregnancy is a huge market,
Yeah.
and it helps those people who love that type of story, quickly and easily find those books. And yeah, I mean, it just like everything else, it's the short attention span in terms of marketing and those quick
Mm-hmm.
hits.
Yeah. Getting back onto you, I've had a quick look over your website, and on your bio, it says that you enjoy writing dirty-mouthed cinnamon roll heroes, which is a fantastic description, but I'm not entirely sure what it means.
The cinnamon roll. Yeah, so it is very much romance lingo. It is that character who is um maybe a little serious, maybe a little stiffer on the outside, but as he starts to open up, you unravel that cinnamon roll. The inside you
Okay.
find is very warm and gooey and very pleasant.
Oh, okay. So like a Mr. Darcy kind of character.
Yes.
Okay.
He's the exact cinnamon roll.
Okay. The original cinnamon roll.
The original.
You mentioned that, and I was going to get onto this later as well. You started out self-publishing.
Yes.
How much had you written before you sort of found the confidence to just go out there and self-publish?
I had written the book. That's basically it.
Okay.
This really only came, so it was here in Canada, COVID lockdowns, rather strict. We were indoors for half a year. And I mean, I just thought, well, what else am I going to do with my time? Let me try to write a story. Somehow wrote one from start to finish. And I will say it took a couple of years, beyond 2020 to hit that publish button. But I wasn't writing a ton. I didn't have a ton of time until COVID.
Yeah, that was the same for a lot of people. It's amazing how many people have found a career in publishing post the time that they were suddenly found available to themselves during like the COVID lockdowns.
Yeah, I don't want to give any credit to that time. It was a horrible, horrible time.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one positive thing that came out of it for me, at least.
Yeah, and that's a good way to think about it. Silver linings and all that. Was that the 60-40 rule?
Yes, it was.
That was the first one that you published. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's so interesting because I want to get onto it a bit later on. But yeah, I want to talk about how you've kind of moved from self-publishing into publishing, how you learned all of that stuff, and then when it's trad publishing. But we are at the point in the episode where I ask you, Ellie, if you were snowed in at a cozy woodland cabin in the middle of nowhere, which book would you hope to have with you?
This is such a timing question because we had an insane snowstorm here in Toronto. Recently, there's snow piles taller than I am at 5'6" right now.
Wow.
Yes, it's snowing as I look out the window. I think I would, that said, probably want to maybe counter it with something really beachy and summery to get me out of here, at least mentally. Yeah. So maybe something like Not Safe for Work by Nisha J. Tooley. She's another great Canadian romance author. Just is very beachy, very fun. So I can pretend there aren't mountains of snow outside my window.
Just escape. Yeah. I guess, a famously quite cold country as well, but in the middle of a snowstorm as well. I imagine being snowed in isn't the coziest thing you can imagine right now.
No.
Okay, great choice. Yeah, I love escape from, give me the opposite of what I'm currently experiencing. Always a fun thing to do.
Needed.
Amazing. Next up, we're going to pick up on that self-publishing stuff that I was just talking about, then get into a bit more publishing things like moving from indie to trad, finding an agent. That will all be available on the extended episode, available at patreon.com/right and wrong.
Yeah, the opacity of it is definitely a hurdle, and I think there would be benefit on both sides if it was approached as more of a business partnership than it currently is. Yes,
whereas you're more of a client as an author, I think, for a publisher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Well, maybe one day, or maybe there'll be one publisher that does suddenly work with their authors in terms of giving them all that data, and then they'll do really well, and then it'll get picked up across the industry. But fingers crossed. We'll see.
Fingers crossed, indeed. Yeah. Yes.
And that brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you so much, Ellie, for coming on and telling us all about your new book, If Only You Knew, as well as the series and kind of everything you've been up to in terms of your writing and publishing journey. It's been really, really cool chatting with you.
Thank you so much for having me. Really, really great and fun discussion this morning. Or I keep saying morning, but today.
Today, yes. Across the world. And for anyone listening, if you want to keep up with what Ellie is doing, you can find her on Instagram at Ellie K Wilde author, or on her website, elliekwilde.com. The latest novel, If Only You Knew, is out February 17th in all the usual places. And to support this podcast, like, follow and subscribe, join the Patreon for ad-free extended episodes, and check out my other podcasts, The Chosen Ones and Other Tropes. Thanks again to Ellie, and thanks to everyone listening. We will catch you on the next episode.